What's going on, my dudes? Chensley11 here, and welcome back to another episode in the A to Z series, where we are going through every single champion in League of Legends and giving you a basic or beginner's guide on each of them. In today's episode, we're going to be showing you how to play Neeko Mid for beginners. So this will be a beginner's guide to Neeko. So we're going to be showing you all of Neeko's runes, all of Neeko's abilities, most importantly. And also we're going to be going through Neeko's build as well. So in general, we'll quickly go through general Neeko, what I think of her. She's quite a simple champion, and if you're new to the game, which a lot of my audience is, Neeko's obviously a mid laner. She's very easy to play. I think she should be picked up if you are looking for a mid laner to pick up. She's relatively strong right now, not amazing, not terrible. She's got great pick potential. She does a lot of damage. She has a lot of CC. Her combo and trading patterns are really simple, which is why I think she's good for beginners. Very, very clear thing you want to do in lane to help you push or get kills or damage the enemy opponent. She has some cool aspects about her because she's like a chameleon. She can turn into champions on your team, as you can see. I think we turned into the Yasuo on screen now, so you can just kind of run around as Yasuo, even though you don't get his abilities. We'll go through this in a moment when we go through the passive. But yeah, I think she's great for beginners. I think you should give her a go at least. Her build variety is, there's a little bit of build variety, but not too much. So the build I'm going to show you today will be pretty good. So yeah, that's Neeko. Laning phase, you want to be trying to shove out when you can. Get the good trade-off with your EQ combo. And then look to roam and help your jungle on the side lanes as well, because you have pretty good roams, because you have a lot of CC, and your ultimate is pretty nutty, and you're quite fast with your W. And you can be a little bit tricky with your passive. So I think Neeko is not too bad at roaming as well. But if you want to just stick in lane, punish your enemy and get farm and get ahead and get plates like that, you can also do that as well. So quite diverse. So in this matchup, we're up against the Zed. Obviously, I can't go through every single matchup. So when you play against a unique champion, you need to memorize what they can do. So Zed can jump on us like that, but it's on cooldown. Make sure you trade with him when he runs away from you. And that was the combo. We got the E stun, and then we full Q'd combo. Full Q goes off, and then we get an auto attack to proc the electrocute. So very, very simple trading pattern. And that is a nice segue into the runes for Neeko, which is electrocute. So electrocute is your keystone. Then you want to go cheap shot. You can also take a taste of blood. Also, either work. The runes I'll put on the screen, I think, are the taste of blood runes. So Zed going all in with the ignite, and then we just finish off. He walks into tower range and dies. Unfortunate for him. Eyeball collection, and then ultimate hunter as well. And then you can go mana flow band and transcendence. So if you don't know what exactly they do, you can pause the video and have a quick read. But essentially, these runes are fantastic for Neeko. They give you a bit of damage, a little bit of mana sustain, and some scaling as well, with some ability haste later on in the game. You're going to take attack speed, and then adaptive force and magic resist, or in this particular case, you obviously got to make a decision in your lane matchup. You want to take armor against the Zed, right? Because he does physical damage. Be sure if you're new, I know you could forget, but try to remember to change this because it does help. It does help a lot, especially if they have an AD jungler. In this case, they have a Vi. So it's very important that you would switch to the armor runes. And I hope I did this game. I can't remember. I think whichever runes I put up is what I actually took this game. So the build, we'll go through the build. So Neeko, you want to go ignite because she just has a little bit of lane pressure. So you want to try and get the kill and get advantage that way. She's good enough to not have to take teleport, if that makes sense. When you play really weak laners, you might have to take teleport so you don't get stomped. So you can go back and get items. Teleport is getting a nerf soon anyway, so I think ignite is definitely the way to go. Into the Zed, you could argue a barrier would be helpful, but I mean, if you're just going to try and stomp the Zed, then you'd need the ignite anyway to try and match his ignite. There's the stun, get the Q combo, and then you get the electrocute proc, very nice. So ignite, and then the starting item is Doran's Ring. Take 2 potions, and then you want to try and get your Lost Chapter as quick as possible. Everfrost is your first main item. Now, you can get Ludens, and you can get Proto Belt. It's up to you. Try a little bit of both. A little bit of everything. If you're super new to the game, the Everfrost might be difficult for you to use. I just think the CC layering with Everfrost is fantastic for your team, which makes you more utility magey, so you can actually CC for your team with the Everfrost. If you want to go all out burst, go for the Ludens Echo. If you want to go a bit more mobility and get in a bit more get-in potential, take the Proto Belt. You want to go Zhonya's definitely for your second because it synergizes with the ultimate because you can pop it when you're in your ulti. Shadow Flame is a good third option if they have a lot of shields or just in general for some armor pen. I also like this item for snowballing. Morella Nomicon is good if they have healing, and then Death Cap if you want flat AP. If they have a lot of magic resist, take the Void Staff. You can also take Demonic Embrace if they're quite tanky as well. So yeah, a lot of options. You can also take Banshee's Veil as well if you need a shield, magic shield, and some magic resist as well. So a lot of different options. That's with all mages. You can kind of vary your build as well. I haven't tried Leontri's Anguish as well on Neeko personally, but I assume it's probably pretty good as well because it's just a strong item in general. So plenty to play with. Lost Chapter Rush is your best friend because then you have almost unlimited mana as well. So you want to make sure you get that. So that's the items, the runes, and the builds. We're in a little bit of a rush this game because it's quite a quick game. And I don't want to just end the video short a little bit like we did with the Nautilus video. But it is what it is. So we're gonna move on to the abilities. And then we'll talk about the gameplay in the background as we get it. But you can see here the simple trading pattern is to just get the stun with the E and then go with the Q. Now, there's a mistake that I did there. What I should have done there with the ulti is not be lazy and just walk forward, and I would have hit the Z. That was so stupid. It doesn't quite matter as bad because he's still missing CS, but we've missed out on a kill there, which is a little bit unfortunate. So we're going to start off with Neeko's passive, which is called Inherit Glamour. So Neeko is offered a selection of allies. So you can see above your items, you can see Urgot, Yasuo, MF, Soraka. She can choose to take their appearance. Okay, so she can click on those portraits and turn into that champion. She can switch to disguise to herself or deactivate her disguise by placing, which places it on a 2-second cooldown. So if you just click on your Neeko portrait, you turn back into Neeko. While disguised, Neeko can basic attack. So she basic attacks as if she's that champion. So if I was the Yasuo, I'd be melee. Okay, it doesn't do extra damage or anything like that. So really good players will be able to tell that it's a Neeko because the damage won't be as much. So be aware of that. The only good thing about changing disguise in terms of stats is certain champions have slightly more movement speed, and if you change to them, you get more movement speed, and that's only for I only use that for running to lane. I don't play Neeko enough to just know all the movement speeds, which is something you might want to learn. I mean, for a beginner, I wouldn't worry about it. So you can see there we can auto attack like a Yasuo, you see here, and then we can just flick to Neeko when we use an ability, which is the next part. Taking damage from enemies using item actives or casting your Q or your E or your ultimate breaks the illusion. So the ultimate is a little bit different because it's the second part of the ultimate. We'll go through that when we go through the ultimate. It's actually good to use your ultimate while you're disguised. There's a little bit of a bonus to it. But either way, if you use your Q or your E, or the second half of the ultimate breaks the illusion, putting Inherent Glamour on a full cooldown, which is 25 to 10 seconds, depending on level. So you can see here we roam mid. We're just trying to maybe clean up a little bit, but we've got to be careful. Neeko has a little bit of escape because of her W and her E for self-peeling, so she's not bad at kind of getting in and out here like this. You can see here we root the Z, then we use the ultimate to lock him in place, and then we kill him there. So I think it was a misfortune to grab the kill, which is fine. So it ended up being a good roam. We use our W to get some movement speed. We'll go through the W in a moment. You can see here, just trying to get around the map. Looks like there's a fight. I mean, in the not super high elos, this kind of thing happens a lot where you get a lot of, fighting. So you want to make sure you're there. Move away from your mid lane if you don't think it's important to be there. Now, don't forget to go back and grab your waves as well. So there's a big wave building mid. I've got to go back and get that at some point. Or at least ping someone else to get it. But you can see we're sieging and potentially looking for a dive or the dragon. But if you're super trying to keep your CS numbers high, just be aware of that big mid wave that you can see on the minimap that is about to crash. And we want to go grab that. So hopefully I'll go grab it. But I might help the team grab the dragon because the Z is still here. So then there's the combo. Use the E, use the Q when it's after you snare. Fantastic. All right, so let's go through the Q so you know what's going on in the game. So that was the Q. I just used it on screen. And as always, I'll put the abilities in the top left-hand corner of the screen. You can see a little bit of a fight going on. Vi's trying to get on top of me, which she completely forgot about the dragon, which means Yasuo could get it. We end up catching that wave, which is really good for me. So we didn't lose too much by the roam. So it was okay. Our team got the dragon. I could have maybe stayed or played that a little bit better and got an extra kill or so. All right, let's go through the Q while the Vi's trying to siege us. So the Q is called Blooming Burst. So Neeko tosses a bloom in a target location that does magic damage. If the bloom kills an enemy target or hits a champion, okay, so if it kills a minion or a monster, actually, I think if it just hits a monster, it goes all the way off, so that's awesome too, so if you're clearing jungle counts. So, if it kills an enemy, which is a minion basically, or hits a champion or a monster, it'll bloom again after 0.75 seconds to deal more magic damage, and this can occur up to 2 more times, so 3 in total. So what I normally do is I snare with the E, and then I put the Q on top of them, because then the first Q hits, causing, if it hits a champion, it goes off again, which means the second time it hits the champion, which means it goes off again. So if you go E, Q straight away, they're going to be locked in place and take all 3 of the Qs. So the additional damage is less than the original, but it still, adds up. So also what you can do for clearing waves, which is what I'll explain when I'm going through the Q, is you can auto, after a while of playing, you start to understand like how many you need to auto. But basically the backline, when you get strong enough, you can auto one of the backline minions once and then Q it. I think I might do it here actually. So auto it once and then Q, and then, so slightly off there. If that first minion died, so I need to auto it twice, it'll cause a second pop to go off, which will kill all the back wave. So just with experience and knowing how much AP and damage you have, you'll start to learn what level you are, etc. You'll start to learn what you need to do. But in general, auto attack one of the back minions a couple times or once, then chuck the Q on it, and then that'll clear the whole back wave. You can do the same with the melee minions, and similar thing will happen. You can see what I was trying to do there: fake the roam, sit in the brush with the control ward, so the Z potentially follows, but instead we got Yasuo coming to gank. So we can maybe look, we get the snare, so there's the combo, and we get the electric prop off, which is not too bad. So let's talk about the W here. So the W is called Shapeshifter. So passive, Neeko's basic attacks on hit generate a stack of Shapeshifter, which refreshes on subsequent hit up to 2 stacks. At the second stack, after 2 stacks, the third one will do an on-hit empowered auto attack that does a non-projectile attack that does bonus magic damage and gives you movement speed. So what does this mean? Basically, every third auto attack, Neeko does a special auto attack that's not a projectile. It's like there it was there. It's like a laser hit. It does bonus magic damage and gives you more movement speed. So in some situations in the game, having a non-projectile auto attack, kind of like Vel'Koz's auto attack, just but every 3, is better. It's like into a Yasuo, for example, his wind wall won't block that, or Samira's W, I think it is, a cyclone thing, won't block that auto attack because it's not a projectile. It's a non-projectile, right? So my team has the Sona, so I look to go for the Zyra, plus she's the ADC, so you can see we hit the snare and then we put the Q on. I thought my team would be able to catch the Sona. Maybe I should have chucked the snare behind me, but I don't think I would have had one for Zyra, so it is what it is. Let's go through the second half of the Shapesplitter, which is the active. So that was the first part, was the passive component. So the active component, Neeko creates a clone of herself or her current form, right? So if you were the MF, if I push W right now, there'd be 3 MFs. You see here, we get the stun on the Vi. We move forward to guarantee the stun. We hit the ignite and we get the auto attack to get the kill. So you can still move after you cast the ultimate as well. We'll go through that in a moment. So when you use your W, it creates 2 of whatever you are. So if you're a Neeko, it'll be 2 Neekos, as you can see here. If I was some other champion, it would create 2 versions of them. Bear in mind, as soon as you cast it, you both go invisible for 0.5 seconds, which causes a bit of confusion on the enemy team, which is why it's a little bit of a great escape tool, which is why it's fantastic on Neeko. It's what makes her a good roamer, makes her a good, kind of get in and out of fights, because you can use your W to get out. You can also cause a little bit of confusion. You can get people to use their big cooldowns on a fake version of yourself, kind of like LeBlanc, Shaco, etc. All the clone champs in the game. So I don't use it enough personally when I play Neeko, because I just like to focus on doing what I need to do. But it is there, something that good Neekos will use a lot, okay? So something you can practice and use it more to disrupt the enemies and to cause confusion and whatnot. So it is also very important for the ultimate, which is what we're going to go through in a moment. So the clone lasts 3 seconds and starts running in a fixed distance. In the target direction, the clone is untargetable to allies for the first 0.5 of its lifespan. So basically, when you use it as well, it'll run in the target direction you've selected with your cursor. So it'll just run straight. So when you come out of stealth, try not to move directions a lot, because that'll give it away. In that situation, that W hit the wall and started going upwards, so then obviously it changes directions. So that won't confuse the enemy, because you can't just run through a wall, right? So almost doing that sometimes may trick the enemy into thinking that it's the real version. So again, something to think about when you're playing Neeko, when you're using the W. It's a little bit of a little tricky thing you can do. Let's go through the E, which is my favorite ability on Neeko, which is called Tangle-Barbs. So it's the active and it's your CC, right? So Neeko slings a magical spiral in a target direction that deals magic damage to the enemy's hit and roots them for a duration. Now, if the spiral hits at least one enemy, it grows in size and it speeds up and the root duration is increased. So this is awesome because basically it's almost like a Lux Bind, but it doesn't hit two. It can hit as many targets as it goes through, right? But it's almost better to make it hit something before it hits your primary target. So in the laning phase, obviously, you want to let it hit minions, go through the minions, and then hit your target. That'll increase the root duration to some cases more than double. In all levels below the max level of the E, it's more, the duration of the stun is more than double. So if you can make it pass through a minion, you guarantee a full charge of your Q. So that's why in the early laning phase, we can see with the Z, what I was doing, hitting the E straight through all the minions, landing the Q on top of them, getting the electrocute proc. Very, very simple. Almost impossible to mess up. So yeah, it's one of my favorite abilities on Neeko. It's fantastic in team fights. If they all line up and you snare a lot of them, you can go in with your ultimate and get a nice ultimate and then CC layer on top. Because the ultimate also roots, and we'll go through that in a moment. So fantastic. Try and make it hit minions in the laning phase. When you're running away from someone, it's kind of hard. If there's like no minions in the way, they'll just it'll hit you on the first instance. So the enemy team surrender here, but we'll quickly go through the rest of the abilities, and we'll throw up the examples of the abilities as always in the top left. But yeah, so when you're running away from someone, you can't exactly throw it through a minion, so you just throw it at them. Just remember the root duration is slightly reduced, so it might throw off your timings with your other things. Just bear in mind. I think it goes from 0.7 to 1.8 at the beginning, and then it goes up from 1.5 to 3 seconds in the late game. So it does increase in power later on in the game, but the root duration is only doubled at the end, whereas at the beginning it's more than doubled. So you want to make sure you remember that. So next we'll go through the ultimate, which is called Pop Blossom. So Neeko winds up a spiritual essence over 1.25 seconds and highlights an area around herself, which is visible to enemies unless Neeko is disguised. So I'll quickly go through that. So when you use your ultimate, you go up in the air and you can move, right? But while you're Neeko, the circle where the damage will come down and the snare will come down, or the stun rather, is visible to the enemy. So if you're a different champion, you're in the air and they can't see that zone. It's almost disguised, and it's a much better way to catch people out. So if you come from a place of invisibility, it's probably worth to change into someone and then use your ultimate like that. Just bear in mind, as soon as you get hit, you'll turn into Neeko, which will reveal the circle as well. But you can catch people off guard if you're disguised. After winding up, the cast time begins. Neeko leaps up into the air, gaining a shield for 2 seconds. So you gain a shield while you're in the air, so you can become more tanky. So the ultimate can actually go off. Increase for each nearby enemy champion. So the shield strength scales with AP, and it also increases with each enemy champion. I'm not too sure exactly how that works. I think it's, there it is. It's 40 per champion at level 1, and then 80 per champion, and also has a AP scale. Again, I'll have this in the bottom left. And then when the cast time ends, she lands, emits a burst of energy that deals magic damage, up to 650 damage plus over a has over 100% AP ratio, so a massive AP damage if you have a lot of AP, to nearby enemies, stunning them for 1.25 seconds. So the stun duration does not increase, but the damage does as you get more AP and you get more levels. So fantastic ultimate, great for team fighting. You can get a massive 5-man 1.25 second stun. Obviously, the damage it can output is amazing, especially if you have a lot of AP. So if they don't have magic resist, remember to buy a death cap. If they do, void staff might actually give you more damage despite it giving you less AP. But yeah, the Pop Blossom is fantastic for like team fighting groups. You can also use it for picks if you want to make sure, like, you know, finish them off like I was trying to do to Z in the laning phase. Try to layer it with your Everfrost and your E, so you can get a thick, long CC chain going. So, you know, E, Everfrost, ult, and they can't move for like literally 4 seconds. And your team, or you can burst them in that time while you're doing damage as well. So, Neeko, very simple champion to play for beginners. I highly recommend you try her out. She's a lot of fun. Very simple trading pattern. Good damage, good roam potential, good safety. So I think she's pretty good for beginners. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comment section and I'll reply to all of them. If you did enjoy the guide, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more guides coming soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.